Hello, this is Alan, welcoming you to the 2062nd edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper. Dateline, 25th of August 2016. The readers this week are Sonia, Roz, Danny and myself, with Peter on the controls. The editor and the production and distribution team is Keith, Joan, Jeanne and Phillip. Our title music is of course Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prie, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Breuer and performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and is used with his kind permission. The local news stories that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, under their copyright. The events information has been collated by us from other sources. The local news headlines this week include No jail for fake gas engineer, Grandad fined £55 for 92nd offence, Midnight wrangle, and man faces jail for terror offences. Before the news we have one or two special items, and first of all the sunrise and sunset times for tomorrow are: sunset is at 6:04, sunrise is at 6:04 and sunset is at 19:59. We have one notice which is from Enfield Vision. Enfield Vision asks us to let you know that the forum meeting scheduled for Monday the 5th of September has been cancelled due to an outing that will be taking place on the same day. Do get in touch with us to share your own news and special announcements. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any comments about the Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020-8805-6578. She is your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. Now Sonia will read the first item of local news.
A man who worked as a gas engineer without being officially registered has been given 2 suspended sentences. Brian Winters had falsely claimed to be gas safe registered, signing up to official safeguards in place to check professional gas engineers are fit and competent to do the job. Winters, of Hertford Road, Edmonton, was tried at the Old Bailey and sentenced on Monday the 15th of August. The court heard the 35-year-old had signed a number of certificates claiming homes he worked on were safe, despite not being officially allowed to do so. The deception was only discovered after a gas leak was reported by National Grid at a rented property Winters had worked on. Winters, a self-employed engineer, was found guilty of 4 charges and was given an 18-month sentence, suspended for 2 years for the property where a gas leak occurred, and 12 months, also suspended for 2 years, for 3 other charges. He was also given 2 community orders. Health and Safety Executive Inspector Monica Babb said, "Gas-safe registered engineers are regulated and have to ensure they can prove they are competent. It is important that anybody who has gas work carried out checks their engineer is carrying a valid gas-safe registered identification card."
Grandad fined £55 for 92nd offence. A grandfather has accused the council of penalising parents after he was fined for a 92nd parking offence. Mo Taylor dropped his granddaughter at Firs Farm Primary School at 9 a.m. on June 24, but realised she had left her hat in the car. Mr. Taylor of Moffat Road, Southgate, drove back and at 9:13 a.m. stopped for a moment on the edge of the yellow zigzags. As restrictions outside the school, which begins teaching at 9 a.m, end at 9:15 a.m, Mr. Taylor, 64, was fined £55 by Enfield Council. He said as the school day had started, he did not put anyone in danger. He said he only paid the fine as he was advised it could double if his appeal failed, which it did, and he is still very unhappy. He said, "I can understand if people are waiting on the lines to collect the children, causing a disruption and being dangerous, but this was not the case. School had started, there was no obstruction. They are penalising parents. £55 is a lot of money for 1.5 minutes, especially if, like me, you're not working." Enfield Council has been contacted for comment.
Midnight wrangle. Up to 200 youths staged running battles for up to an hour after a late-night party erupted in violence. Police officers were called to a mass brawl in Enfield Highway after the party ended and groups of youths clashed. A police helicopter was also seen in the area as the fracas spilled across the busy Hertford Road near the junction with Green Street at about midnight. Mum of 4, Hannah Williams, 34, who lives above nearby shops, said, "It was really scary to watch. It was like the riots a few years ago. There were 200 of them. They were taking up the whole shopping parade, and they were all kids. I don't think any of them are older than 18. It started about midnight with a fight near the sporting green, and we could hear people chanting, 'Fight, fight, fight.' Then they were up by the library and outside the Savers shop. They were going up and down the road and running across the road. I didn't see any weapons or anyone throw things through windows, but then the police came about half an hour later and seemed to have a camera crew with them, and that scared about half of them off." She said police gave first aid to someone who did not appear to be seriously injured, as he had then got up and walked away. She added, "At one point, a shopkeeper just stood at the entrance of his shop and refused to budge as 20 of them were outside trying to get in. But there was still noise and people running around at 3 a.m. My 9-year-old daughter now says she is too frightened to go out. They were all children. I've never seen anything like it. I'm going to help to set up a community group," she said, "around here as a result of what we saw, as something just needs to be done." On social media community forum Love Your Doorstep, LIDS, the fight caused alarm with memories of the 2011 disorder on the minds of some residents. Emma Rigby, founder of LIDS, said, "There was a party that was advertised on social media and people came out of the garden where it was held. I'm not sure if it was gang-related, but there were groups of people on Hertford Road and it just got a little bit out of hand. People in the area are concerned about how to deal with this, and they would like it to be a higher police priority. We work really closely with police in Enfield, and we are not being critical of them, but we would like to see more officers on duty. I would like to think that the police are looking at it, and we know they are under-resourced, but the community is concerned about how to stop those gatherings." Earlier this month, Enfield Police confirmed that there would soon be an extra officer for each ward in the borough.
Man faces jail for terror offences. A Palmer's Green man is facing a jail sentence after being convicted of a terror offence. Mohammed Mizanur Rahman has been found guilty of encouraging support and spreading hate as a supporter of terrorist organisation Islamic State. The 33-year-old of North Circular Road was found guilty along with cleric Anjem Chowdhury, age 49, from Ilford, East London. The two men told their followers to obey the Islamic State leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, an Old Bailey jury heard. They had also posted an oath of allegiance on an extremist website on the 9th anniversary of the London terrorist attacks, the court heard. The Met's head of counter-terrorism, Commander Dean Hayden, said, "These men stayed just within the law for many years, but there is no one within the counter-terrorism world who has any doubts of the influence they have had, the hate they have spread, and the people they have encouraged to join terrorist organisations." Both men are due to be sentenced at the Old Bailey on the 6th of September.
We now have some information about forthcoming events. Firstly, the Friends of 40 Hall Park, with the Association of Ukrainians, Waltham Cross Branch, present another Spirit of Ukraine festival on Sunday the 4th of September from 12 noon until 5 p.m. at 40 Hall Park. Join in arts and crafts, children's activities and face painting. Enjoy traditional Ukrainian music, dance, food and sample the beverages at the Ukrainian beer tent. Free admission.
Join Pam Rhodes from the BBC's Songs of Praise and the choir of Christchurch Southgate on Sunday the 18th of September at 6:30 p.m. for a celebration of your favourite hymns. In Then Sings My Soul, Pam Rhodes will talk about some of the nation's best-loved hymns, which we will then sing, led by the choir. Admission is free. The event takes place at Christchurch, The Green, Southgate, N14 7EG. This special event rounds off London House Weekend, during which the church will be open from 11 a.m. until 6:30 p.m. on Saturday the 17th and Sunday the 18th of September.
Enjoy lazy Sunday afternoons in Hilly Fields with music on the bandstand. The final concert of the year will see Big Chief entertain you with jazz and blues music. Bring the family and a picnic and enjoy wonderful music. The event is free with a collection in support of the Nightingale Hospice. And the event is on Sunday, the 11th of September from 3 till 5:30 p.m. For more information and details about parking, visit www.hillyfields.info.
A small garden is home to what may be a gardening first: naturally square tomatoes. Green-fingered Metim Osman of Naylor Road, Ponders End, has a history of unusual plants, but the 67-year-old is at a loss to explain why rectangular fruits have started growing on his patch. He said, "My first thought was that I must have bought peppers by mistake, but I cut one open and they're definitely tomatoes. I don't know why they look like that, but I think they taste better than the round ones. They're easier to cut too." I asked my neighbours, and they said they have never seen ones like this either. In 2009 he appeared in the Enfield Independent after growing a 10-foot tomato plant. Mr. Osman says he has no plans to set up a square tomato business. He said, "I put nothing unusual on the plants. I just bought the cheapest seeds from the pound shop, and they started growing square."
An Enfield college is celebrating its best ever A-level results, with students shocked at their own success. Like those all over the country, teenagers at St Ignatius College have today found out if they have managed to get their first choice of university. According to the school, they have managed the highest pass rate in the college's 122-year history, with 46% getting grades between A* and B, and 99% between A* and E. One 18-year-old, George Oyakewi from Edmonton, is off to study biomedical science at St George's after getting 2 A* and an A. He said, "I feel very good, but I'm still shocked. I applied, but I didn't expect it. I worked really hard and enjoyed my time here. I want to study a medicine postgraduate after my degree. I haven't planned any celebration later. I wasn't really expecting this." George collected his results alongside his mother Ethel, who said she was very proud of her son. She said, "I already knew George would do well. He is a fighter. He likes the competition and works hard. We have to take him on holidays to get him away from his studying, but he always takes his books." College head boy Milan Jacob also got his first choice and will study medicine at Imperial College London after getting A*, A, B. When asked how he would celebrate, he replied, sleep. Luigi Kenamo failed his A-levels last year, but returned to give it a second try this year and got 3 Ds, better than he had hoped for. Leonie Howarth, head of sixth form, said they would support all 85 of their sixth form students as far as they could. Meanwhile, over 100 sixth form students at Oasis Academy, Enfield, taking academic and technical courses, 56% got passing grades between A* and B, the best in the Academy's 4-year history. 80% are now going on to their choice of university, with a further 17% doing an apprenticeship.
Enfield Town's slow start to the Ryman Premier Division season continued as they suffered a last-gasp 1-0 defeat at Burgess Hill Town. Having snatched a late 1-1 draw from their opening match at home to Canvey Island, Town have now suffered successive narrow losses on their travels, with a 2-1 reversal at Dulwich Hamlet on Tuesday last week being followed by this latest setback over the weekend. Town enjoyed the better of the relatively few chances that were created, but were again made to pay for their lack of a cutting edge up front as Daniel Thompson struck with time running out to give the hosts maximum points. But manager Bradley Quinton insists that he is not too concerned by the disappointing results and feels that it is only a matter of time before the town's fortunes begin to pick up. We've played very well in the last couple of games, but haven't got anything to show for it, he said. The boys are gutted at letting in the late goal because they took their eyes off the ball. We are creating a lot of chances and there's nothing to worry about. I think the squad overall is stronger than it was last year, but I still want to bring in another striker. There isn't a lack of confidence, we just need that bit of luck, and I'm sure we will kick on and the results will come. Both teams struggled to come to terms with the blustery conditions, and neither keeper was seriously tested during a low-key first half. The contest did open up after the interval, with Tyler Campbell firing narrowly wide for Town before a Billy Crook free kick just missed the target. Home keeper Josh James had to be alert to save a low Samir Behimuddin shot, but Burgess Hill went close with 20 minutes remaining when a Curtis Gaylor effort was blocked. Kelvin Bossman almost grabbed his first goal for Town 5 minutes later with a snapshot that crashed against the bar, while Harry Otterway saw his effort cleared off the line by a combination of James and a defender. But the goal would not come, and the host struck the decisive blow in controversial fashion as the contest entered stoppage time. Town were convinced that they should have had a penalty for a handball by Cheikh Toure, but the referee waved away their protests and Burgess Hill launched a swift counter-attack, which ended with Thompson scoring with a simple tap-in after Lee Harding's shot had been parried by keeper Nathan MacDonald.
Outraged families are distraught after vandals damaged Garden of Rest memorials in a rampage through a churchyard in Enfield Town. A number of stones were targeted in the attack at St Andrew's Church, and the destruction has prompted one grieving relative to offer a reward for information leading to the arrest of the culprits. Operations manager Dean Addy, 58, discovered the damage to the Garden of Rest on Sunday morning when he visited the memorial to his late wife Kay. He said, "It was despicable, extremely upsetting. I have offered £250 if someone can give us some information, as it is not acceptable. I've got a feeling it was more than one person, as many stones were attacked." Mr. Addy contacted the police and he helped officers tidy up. Another victim, Sally Ricketts, 56, was upset after a memorial to her father, Roy Gould, who died 21 years ago, was kicked off its mounting. "I was horrified," she said. "I just don't understand the mentality of people who do this. The actual memorial has been broken off from its base and it was lying a couple of stones away." The vases of bars had been moved, but luckily they were not broken. I will have to get a stonemason to repair it, though. Reverend Dr. Steve Griffiths, the vicar at St Andrews, said, "Some of the flower pots and top stones were removed and put into positions and relocated. Flowers were taken from some pots and strewn on the ground. There may have been some minor damage to personal items as well, but it is hard to tell if that was done at the same time. As soon as we discovered this, we put the pots back where they should be, and any extra flower pots that we do not know the original location for have been left under a tree in the middle of the Garden of Rest for people to claim. It is so sad that some people should choose to behave in this way. While there was limited physical damage, this type of behaviour can cause emotional distress to relatives. We are grateful for the community response in helping to address this issue, and we will remain vigilant and hope that this does not happen again."
This is a reminder about a public consultation regarding garden waste bin collections. Residents are being reminded there is still time to have a say over alternative options the council is proposing in place of free weekly garden waste bin collections, which it plans to scrap. Enfield Council is holding a public consultation after asking residents for their preference: to keep the weekly collections but pay £60 a year with food waste collection combined, or change to a free fortnightly green bin service. The council says government funding cuts have forced it to make cuts to services which residents may have to come to expect as a given, and will save it more than £400,000 a year. Residents still have almost a week to choose which option they want before the council's 12-week consultation ends on Friday, September the 2nd. Cabinet Member for Environment Daniel Anderson said, "Surprising as it may be, the green bin collection is not statutory, and many other councils now provide such a service fortnightly or less often, while others charge for the service." Residents can complete the consultation questionnaire online or visit a library for help in Edmonton Green, Broomfield Lane, Palmer's Green, Church Street, Enfield Town, and Ordnance Road, Enfield Lock. Support is also available at Enfield Civic Centre and John Wilkes House in High Street, Ponders End, where hard copies will be provided. To complete the questionnaire online, visit www.enfield.gov.uk/consultations. The consultation will not affect the collection of black and blue bins.
School children have visited Parliament to hand in petitions asking the government to help those unable to attend school. The pupils from Merry Hills Primary School in Enfield are taking a part in the Send My Friend to School campaign, which tries to help children in developing countries get an education, even in times of crisis or conflict. As well as children abroad, the campaign highlights young carers who have to balance their studies with caring for ill family or friends. They met Enfield North MP Joan Ryan, who backed their petitions with letters to the Secretaries of State for Education and International Development. Ms Ryan said, "I was really impressed by their concern for the plight of school children around the world who do not enjoy the same access to education as they do, and for their understanding of their fellow pupils in Enfield and across the country, whose education often suffers as a result of the care they give to others. They are really passionate about ensuring a high-quality education for all, and I am delighted to support their efforts."
Film actor stages obscure priestly play. Much lesser known than An Inspector Calls, Hugh Ross revives The Roundabout at Park Theatre. Most people assume the play is set in a fairground, but it is more about life going round and coming back to the same place, says Hugh Ross, director of J.B. Priestley's forgotten work, The Roundabout, which opens at Park Theatre this week. The Roundabout is a new direction for the 71-year-old who has acted for most of his career and has had film roles in The Iron Lady, Patriot Games and Trainspotting, as well as theatre credits with the Royal Shakespeare Company and the National Theatre. He won a Time Out Award for his portrayal of Malvolio in Twelfth Night, and has appeared in the West End, most notably in Death and the Maiden, The Woman in Black, and The Invention of Love. Despite the play's ambiguous title, The Roundabout looks at the social order of 1930s Britain, and focuses on a family called the Kettlewells, who are really quite dysfunctional. Richard is an old Etonian, whose business ventures are failing, and over one crowded weekend, his daughter Pamela, whom he hasn't seen for many years, returns from Russia as a communist, while his ex-wife and mistress also both turn up and causes him to start drinking heavily to cope with the escalating situation. Hugh reveals that Priestley's play mysteriously languished in obscurity after its 1930s debut, but he is hoping this revival will be as well received as Priestley's classics An Inspector Calls and Time of the Conways. He explains the play was a success and very entertaining and funny in the 30s, but somehow it got lost and nobody really knows why. Although we can't find one particular reason, there is a theory he was having an affair with the actress Peggy Ashcroft at the time and wrote the leading part for her, although she never actually played it. However, around that time he also went back to his wife, so we were wondering if the play got brushed aside as it was a reminder of a difficult time. It gives an interesting insight to life in Britain in the decade after the Second World War. The Kettlewells lost all their money due to the financial crash at the end of the 20s, and so they are suddenly poor, and the plot about the daughter is interesting as she is looking for security and has been radicalized with new political views due to not having a very secure background. Hugh was born in Glasgow, but moved to London in 1963 after joining the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. As well as working as a doctor, his father wrote plays, poetry, and painted, and as a student at Glasgow Academy, Hugh was involved in Shakespeare plays every summer, where he played Richard III, among other legendary characters. He says, acting and directing bring very different things, so it is hard to say which I prefer doing. As a director, it is very important to know a bit about acting, and it is good to be given this challenge. You're never too old, even in your 70s. I find it very invigorating and energizing. Every play is different, so as a director you have to respect the writer's intentions first of all, but a huge amount of the director's skill is to cast well and get the right people for the parts. If you have that, you are halfway there, especially as every actor works in a different way, as some people need care and attention, but others like to be left alone to work on their craft and find their own way. It will be the first time Hugh has worked at Park Theatre, but he is already full of praise. He says it is a nice little community theatre, as everyone can get involved, and it also has the best rehearsal room I've ever seen. It is light and airy, and the catering is very nice. He is no stranger to the world of theatre, as it has been a constant in his life for as long as he can remember. He has no plans to give it up just yet, and has been asked to direct The Mousetrap in the West End after his run at Park Theatre ends next month. He says it is daunting and will be a big challenge, as it has been running for 100 years, but I am looking forward to putting my own twist on it, just like I'm doing with The Roundabout. The Roundabout, Park Theatre, Clifton Terrace, Finsbury Park, N4 3JP, until September 24th, 7:30 p.m. Details 020 7870 6876 parktheatre.co.uk.
It's not often that a building is named after a horse, but Vallegro is no ordinary horse. The 14-year-old is ridden by Enfield-born Olympic champion Charlotte Dujardin, who won another gold medal in the individual dressage in Rio to add to the 2 gold medals she won in London in 2012. And Dujardin also took a silver medal in Rio in the team dressage. The team won gold in 2012. Vallegro has already returned home to the UK, and his Facebook page includes photos showing the horse relaxing at home. Enfield Council has decided to name one of the new blocks on the Alma estate in Ponders End after the 16.2 Hands horse. Homes on the redeveloped estate off Alma Road are the first council houses to be built in Enfield for 40 years, and it follows a compulsory purchase order by the council. The road running through the estate will be called Dujardin Mews. The triple Olympic champion, who is the most successful British dressage rider of all time, has a postbox in Southbury Road in Enfield Town, painted gold in the honour following her 2012 triumphs.
A man has admitted stealing a car with 2 children inside before abandoning the baby on a doorstep. Martin Corley, aged 19, was high on drugs when he got into a parked car and drove off during the incident last month in North London, after the children's mother had gone into a nearby shop. A 12-year-old girl who was in the vehicle with an 11-month-old baby escaped and rolled out into the road a short time after the car moved off from Kemp Road in Enfield on July the 2nd. The baby boy was found uninjured on the doorstep of a house in Guinevere Gardens, Cheshunt, Hertfordshire. The car was discovered later in Cooper's Walk, Cheshunt. Corley, of no fixed address, admitted kidnap, child abduction and aggravated vehicle taking at Wood Green Crown Court. Corley had refused to come to court from Pentonville Prison last Thursday and Friday, apparently demanding to see a family member before entering a plea. He arrived after a judge made an order that he be brought to the dock by whatever means necessary. Corley is due to be sentenced on Friday, October 14th.
Win a family ticket to see Tall Stories, The Gruffalo live in the West End. A mouse took a stroll through the deep dark wood. Join Mouse on a daring adventure through the deep dark wood in Tall Stories' magical musical adaptation of a classic picture book by Julia Donaldson and Axel Scheffler. While searching for hazelnuts, Mouse meets the cunning fox, the eccentric old owl, and the party-mad snake. Will the story of the terrifying Gruffalo save Mouse from ending up as dinner for these hungry woodland creatures? After all, there's no such thing as a Gruffalo, is there? Songs, laughs and scary fun for children aged 3 and over and their grown-ups in the much-loved show that's toured Britain and the world. The Gruffalo is playing at the Lyric Theatre, Shaftesbury Avenue, until January the 8th, 2017. For more information and to book your tickets from £14.50, call 0330 333 4812 or visit gruffalolive.com. Running time is 55 minutes, no interval. For your chance to be a winner, just answer this question. Who created the original book of the Gruffalo? Was it A. Roald Dahl and Quentin Blake, B. Joan Aiken and Jan Piankowski, or C. Julia Donaldson and Axel Scheffler? Send your answer with your name, address and a daytime telephone number to Gruffalo Competition, North London and Herts Newspapers, 187 Baker Street, Enfield, EN1 3JT, or send your answer with contact details to competitions@nlhnews.co.uk with Gruffalo in the subject line by noon on Thursday, September the 1st. 2 winners will receive a family ticket, 4 tickets, maximum 2 adults, to see the Gruffalo live at the Lyric Theatre, Shaftesbury Avenue, London. It is valid for the 10 a.m. performance on October the 1st, 2016, subject to availability. There is no cash alternative and travel and accommodation are not included.
A fitness instructor is taking on another tough trek to raise money for charity by walking 65 miles. Sprightly Peter Davey, who has already raised £1,000 for leukemia research, is tackling his second ultra challenge. Last year, Mr. Davey, 68, of Harmon Road, Bush Hill Park, walked 62 miles to Cambridge. Now he is facing a slightly longer route between Eastbourne and Arundel in Sussex. Mr. Davey had treatment for leukemia 2 years ago and is determined to raise money for research into blood cancers. He said the walk is 75% off-road this year and is equally, if not more, challenging than last year. I'll be starting at 7 a.m. and I won't stop until I've finished, so I think I could be on my feet for 24 hours.
Brainy bins are being introduced to tidy up parks. The big belly bins detect how full they are and then crush the contents to create up to 5 times more space. And that means they don't need to be emptied as often and are less likely to overflow, ruining the streets. The bins are located in Trent Park, Broomfield Park, Grovelands Park, Oakwood Park, Enfield Town Park, Aldersbrook Park and 40 Hall Park. The council spends about £4.5 million to keep the borough clean and hopes that the new bins will help reduce that cost by increasing capacity and also meet residents' expectations for high standards of cleanliness. Cabinet Member for Environment Daniel Anderson said, "These bins are incredibly sophisticated and will play an important role in cutting the amount of time our staff need to spend emptying the bins. That means we can allocate more resources tackling the environmental issues that really annoy people, such as fly tipping, graffiti and dog fouling. However, there is absolutely no point if people don't use them, so I'm urging residents to help us keep our borough clean by using our bins."
A man has repaid the hospital which saved his life as a child by plunging off its 10th-storey roof, together with his father, in a thrilling fundraising charity abseil. James Beckett, aged 28, from Goffs Oak, descended on ropes down the side of St Mary's Hospital in Paddington with his dad, David. The hospital's children's intensive care unit is where James was treated as a youngster for meningococcal septicemia, a life-threatening infection of the brain which mainly affects babies and preschool children. As a thank you to the dedicated staff, James and his father raised £630 towards the hospital's £2 million More Smiles appeal to build a new state-of-the-art children's intensive care unit by carrying out their daredevil stunt. James said, "I owe my life to the Children's Intensive Care Unit at St Mary's, and I'm so pleased to have helped the appeal reach the £1 million mark. I owe them all so much, as do many other patients that have passed through the hospital." He recalled the time when he suddenly fell very seriously ill. "I remember feeling very weak one morning before school. I couldn't even walk or speak. The last thing I remember is my mum taking me to the doctors, but after that everything becomes a blur. I was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance, and I have seen photos of myself with tubes and wires everywhere. The next thing I remember is waking up and the staff treating me really well while I was recovering. The overall cost of the hospital project is £10 million, with the remainder funded by Imperial College Healthcare Charity and the hospital's trust.
A woman says she is apprehensive but determined to walk 100 kilometres in a charity event this month. Debbie Godfrey from Winchmore Hill will be taking part in the South Coast Challenge on August the 27th with her friend Sarah Smith from Enfield, which sees competitors attempt to complete the stretch from Eastbourne to Arundel as quickly as they can. Miss Godfrey, 48, is raising money for the Progressive Supranuclear Palsy Association, PSP, which is a terminal degenerative neurological condition which her family had never heard of until her aunt was diagnosed a few years ago. She said, "Doing it for my aunt spurs me on, definitely. Last year I walked for family members too, for cancer research." Miss Godfrey, a nursery teacher at Grafton Preschool, said they've been training since Easter. Donate at justgiving.com/Deborah-Godfrey. Deborah is spelled DEBORAH-Godfrey.
Travellers have set up camp in the car park of an empty supermarket. Caravans are parked outside the former co-op on Hertford Road, Freezywater, which is now owned by Lidl. The site is bordered by a locked wire fence and a large grey wooden wall. However, neighbours say they have been on the site since Friday and have also gone into the abandoned building. Sinan Brayeva, who runs Silver Service Cafe opposite the site, said their presence had people worried. He said, "I don't like this situation around here at all. If they could be moved quickly, I'd be very grateful." An owner of another nearby business, who declined to give his name, said he had written to his MP, Joan Ryan, and the CEO of Lidl to warn them. He said they initially broke in through the gates and the boarded walls. Now they are inside the building. Although through Friday and Saturday shopkeepers were in and out of the shop complaining, it's immensely frustrating and everyone is very concerned. He also said he had complained to Enfield Council. Council spokesperson Laura Berryman said, while the land does not belong to the authority, they would do what they could to clear the site. She said, "We are in contact with the landowner and we are aware of the legal proceedings they have started. Council officers will continue to liaise with Lidl until the matter is addressed. It is expected the site will be vacant mid-week." Lidl Communications Officer Sophie Lambert-Russell said they hope to secure an order for the removal of the travellers. She said, "We were incredibly concerned to hear about the issues at our site in Enfield. As soon as we were made aware, we contacted bailiffs and have secured an appointment to collect the necessary court documents and securing a hearing date. We are working closely with local authority teams to ensure the land is returned in a reasonable manner and would like to reassure local residents we will be taking steps to secure the site."
Students were elated and relieved across the borough as they found out their A-level results last week. For many Enfield sixth formers, the 2 years of hard work, trying to make the grade to get to university, and countless hours of late nights had finally paid off. Gianna Giordani, 18, from Enfield County Upper School in Holly Walk, was delighted to find out that she had secured a place at Cambridge University to study modern languages after achieving AS Star in psychology and Spanish and an A in French. "It was stressful during the 2 years, but it was worth it," she said. "I knew it had to be done, so I'm really happy." 76% of A-level students in the borough achieved A-star to C grades. Barnet and Southgate College student Tolga Karabecha, driving ambition to move into a career in Formula One motor racing, is on the starting grid after his A-level success. The 19-year-old will be speeding off to Oxford Brookes University to study for a degree in motorsport engineering. "I've been into racing cars since I was very small," he said. "I found this course when I was researching degrees, and there was equal delight at Highlands School in World's End Lane, Winchmore Hill, as head boy Riaz Jugra made the grades to study for politics degree at King's College London." He was ecstatic to find out that he had achieved an A-star in sociology and an AS in government politics and history. The 18-year-old said, "I want to become a politician. It might be a long way away, but that's what I want to do eventually." Aoife Orhan, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Education, Children's Services and Protection, said, "Teachers work extremely hard to ensure that all students fulfil their potential for A-levels and other post-16 examinations, all of which will help young people in the next stage of their life. Congratulations to all of them."
A student has become the second member of his family to go to university after hugely improving his grades. St Ignatius College pupil Robert Chizier, 18, got 3 E grades at AS level and had to do resits this year alongside his main exams. However, he managed to get 3 Bs and achieve his goal of studying biochemistry at Sussex. Robert, who is originally from Nigeria and lives in Seven Sisters, said his sister is currently at university studying pharmacy, but they are the first generation to do so, as no other family member had gone to university before. He said, "I'm really happy at the end of last year I didn't do well. It was a bit of a struggle. My teachers have been really helpful and I'm proud. I told my parents and they are over the moon. I want to do medical research, fighting cancer and other diseases, and now I can get a degree for that."
To let, spacious municipal 18-hole golf course set in picturesque parkland. Charming original features including bunkers, fairways, greens, practice facilities and clubhouse. Whitewebs in Whitewebs Lane, Enfield, has been put on the market by Enfield Council in an attempt to raise extra revenue. The council, which is facing a budget squeeze due to government-imposed cuts on public spending, is hoping to rent the course to a commercial operator. Such a move would also relieve the council of the financial burden of running it, as well as the cost of its upkeep. Daniel Anderson, the council's cabinet member for environment, said, "In order to sustain the golf course and the surrounding areas, we are looking for an experienced operator to manage the facilities at Whitewebs. By increasing access and participation in golf and wider leisure activities, this will help fund the redevelopment of the existing facilities. It will also ensure the maintenance of the non-golf areas, which protect and conserve the natural environment of the wider park." Potential applicants have until September the 30th to express their interest in the 5,882-yard par 68 course, which was designed by 5 times Open Championship winner John Henry J.H. Taylor and opened in 1932. The council says it has made more than $180 million in spending cuts in the past 5 years and is aiming to make a further £56 million in savings by 2020. Mr. Anderson added, "We are looking at many innovative ways to do this, and our plan for Whitewebs is one of them."
6 weeks into the job, and Enfield's new police chief is relishing the challenge of being back where it all started for him as a bobby pounding the beat. It was to Enfield where new borough commander Ian Raphael was first posted as a police constable back in 1993. 23 years later, with a wealth of experience under his belt, the 48-year-old father of three is keen, he says, to reduce crime, make the borough's streets safer and foster improved community relations in a multicultural, multi-faith borough. Detective Chief Superintendent Raphael has set out his policing priorities with crime prevention high on his list. Deterring criminals by reducing the opportunity to commit crime will be a major aim. The priority will be to stop crime in the first place, he said. The focus will also be on detecting crime, bringing offenders to justice, and delivering a really professional service. He stressed the need to work with the community to break down the barriers between the police and the public. I absolutely believe we've got to come together and work together, whether that be with the local authority, third parties or residents of Enfield, and I'm really quite passionate about that, he added. Asked about the task of increasing the community's confidence in Enfield's police, he said it would not be a simple challenge, but that using social media and the local press to inform people of crime hotspots would be key. I think part of my job is to be visible and contactable, so I hope people will feel they can talk to us and we can talk to them, he said. I passionately believe in an honest, open approach. He has received numerous commendations during his career, having worked both in uniformed and detective roles in 5 other London boroughs: Barnet, Hackney, Barking and Dagenham, Redbridge and Southwark, as well as Enfield. He has a master's degree in police and police science and a doctorate in criminal justice. It is his first posting as a borough commander, having spent the past 2 years heading the Met's Operation Bumblebee anti-burglary initiative. He added, "I feel immensely privileged to serve the residents of Enfield, and with the team I have around me, I am confident we can achieve our priorities to reduce crime and keep the community safe."
A family business will have to cut the range of lines it sells after it was ordered to stop displaying goods outside the shop. The 30-year-old Cockfosters delicatessen has been told by Enfield Council to remove displays of fruit and vegetables from the pavement. It has been served with a fixed penalty notice of £150, reduced to £90 if paid within 7 days, and has been warned that the council will come and take their produce away. Jeanne Spirou, who runs the business with husband George, said she had to ask the landlord to remove the display unit from Station Road in Cockfosters. She said the move would cost them thousands of pounds in work and lost trade. "And I think it will have a massive impact," she said. "We have to reduce our stock. We have 4 types of apples and we will have to do one." She'd asked the council to defer action until next year's review of the policy, but was told that was not possible. The council's cabinet member for environment, Daniel Anderson, told Mrs. Spirou and her husband, "The only exceptions are for businesses that have their own private forecourts, who are at liberty to freely display their goods." A council spokeswoman told the ruling had been introduced in 2008, and she said, "We treat all businesses in Enfield consistently and fairly in accordance with the existing policy. Any business in breach of the law is asked to remove their goods from the pavement, which is only followed up by enforcement action as a last resort, and any action taken is regardless of the length of time the goods have been on display." There have been 360 complaints about street trading on shop fronts over the past 7 years, and the council has sent 362 warning letters and issued 33 fixed penalty notices. Indeed, there have been 16 convictions for the illegal street trading. Howard Lutenberg, who lives in Freston Gardens near the deli, called on the council to rethink its policy. "Restaurants can have tables and chairs in the middle of the road, and they can have licences," he said. "What's the difference? Why can't they give a licence to all these other businesses?
An after-school club has been judged good by Ofsted, having been told to make improvements last year. Kidscape at Rainham Primary School in Enfield received the second highest rating possible in the report published this week, after being inspected on July 19th. An inspection in June 2015 had found the club requires improvement. Jacqueline Wilson, one of the owners of Kidscape After School Club, told the Enfield Independent, "It is good news. Now we will try to keep on improving." The Ofsted report praised the club for improving children's safety with a new phone and camera policy. It said, "Children enjoy their time at the club and benefit from the positive relationships and good levels of support they receive from staff. Children demonstrate good levels of self-confidence and independence." But Kidscape at Rainham Hall fell short of the highest outstanding ranking because staff do not self-evaluate performance regularly, and a lack of outdoor facilities.
A historic rugby club has been officially recognised by the sport's governing body after 87 years. Old Grammarians, RFC, who have been based in Green Dragon Lane, Winchmore Hill since 1996, after being founded by Tottenham Grammar School, Old Boys, in 1929, have this week received the status of RFU accredited club. This gives the club greater credibility and stability, gives access to Sport England funding for the youth teams, and is seen as a mark of quality in the rugby world. Angela Mikalev, chairman of the youth teams at Old Grammarians, said they had to complete a rigorous self-assessment to show their ability to recruit players, reward volunteers, and make future plans. She said, "This is a fantastic achievement and further proves our ongoing commitment to the future growth and development of the club." Her husband, Patrick, has been a member of Old Grammarians for 20 years, is vice-captain of the second team, coaches the under-10s, and runs the bar. He said, "This is immense news. It puts us on the map. We're always seen as a small club, but we hold our own against the bigger sides. The club is social, but competitive too. Dads come out of retirement after watching their kids, thinking they can still do it. Not everyone gets this award, and it's great it's been given to another Middlesex club. Old Grammarians RFC play in the Hertfordshire and Middlesex Merit Table League 5.
The council has delayed gauging public opinion on plans for two divisive Cycle Enfield schemes. The Enfield Town and Southbury Road sections of the £42 million cycle lane plans had gone to public survey last year, with Enfield Council due to reopen them to a second round of scrutiny after making changes. However, the authority is taking more time to reconsider the route. It comes after the two possible plans for the lanes in Enfield Town Centre proved particularly unpopular. The first option would see segregated cycle lanes on either side of London Road. The other suggestion was two-way lanes on Cecil Road and Genotin Road. A Southbury Road leg was also proposed.
Desiree Henry expressed her delight after helping Great Britain win bronze medals in the women's 4x100 metres relay at the Rio Olympics. The athlete from Enfield and Haringey Athletic Club had been one of the rising stars chosen to help light the Olympic flame in London 4 years ago, and has developed into one of Britain's leading sprinters since then. Henry's progress led to her being selected in the team for Rio, and she ran the second leg in Friday's final, joining forces with Phillip, Dina Asher-Smith and Daryl Nietta to come third in the new national record of 41.77 seconds, securing Britain's first Olympic medal in the event for 32 years. Henry said, "At times we did feel people had given up on us, but as individuals we know how far British women's sprinting has come. Each year we've got better and better, and we're becoming consistent and winning medals. We believe in ourselves and our team, and the belief is in us, and that's all we need. We don't need any negativity. We have trust and faith in each other. We are such a close team. We've got on so well, and I'm so very happy for all the girls. After lighting the flame at London 2012, Rio was the target for me, and this is the fairy tale ending." Fellow Enfield and Harrogate sprinter C.J. Ujar failed to make the final quartet for the men's 4x100 relay, even though he was named in the initial extended squad.
Cockfosters are returning to winning ways with a 2-1 victory at Leverstock Green in the Spartan Premier Division. The Reds have had a mixed start to the season, bowing out of the FA Cup at the first hurdle, and then, after winning their opening league match, suffering a 2-0 defeat against Crawley Green the previous weekend. However, the side responded in fine style with an impressive display at Leverstock, with goals from Carl Resch and Jerry Meyer, his third in as many games since joining on loan from Potters Bar Town, putting Cockfosters in complete control before the hosts pulled one back, with virtually the last kick of the game. "We had a bit of an up-and-down start, and hopefully this win will get us going again," Barker said. "We went 2-0 up and had a lot of other chances, but we ended up having to play with only 10 men after picking up an injury when we had already made all 3 subs. It's been a bit of a strange start to the season, as we've played all of our games away from home while we finished the work on our clubhouse. We've been missing a lot of players for various reasons, which is obviously not ideal. But we've picked up points when we haven't been at full strength, and that's got to be a good sign." Cockfosters finally play their first home match of the season on Saturday when they entertain Berkhamsted, and Barker is expecting a tough test. "They are one of the favourites for the title," he added. "It will be a good chance for us to see where we're at. It will be good to play at home, and we're all looking forward to the game." Meanwhile, Cockfosters under-18s are looking for new players. Anyone interested should contact the manager, Paul Boxer, on 07931 790 222.
A firearms officer admitted to an inquest into the fatal shooting by police of a man with mental health difficulties that a warning was only given after he had opened his flat door. James Kerry Fox was shot by armed police 5 times after they were called out to Piccadilly House, Cedar Road, Enfield, on August the 30th last year. They had been told that a man was making threats to kill. The inquest at North London Coroner's Court last Thursday had earlier heard that the 43-year-old, who had a history of mental health problems, had pointed an air gun at a child's head. Armed police who arrived on the scene were told in a briefing that Mr. Fox had previously been sectioned under the Mental Health Act and had also made a suicide attempt in the past. There was also a discussion that the weapon he was believed to possess could be an air gun, the inquest heard. After viewing film from police body cameras, the firearms officer, who cannot be identified and was referred to as M27, told the jury that it was accepted that no warning of armed police had been given before Mr. Fox opened the door to his flat. Owen Greenhall, the solicitor representing Mr. Fox's family, told the officer, "When he opened that door, he was quite literally looking down the barrel of a gun, your gun." The firearms officer denied this, saying, "No, my gun did not pass the door frame." Giving evidence from behind a screen, the officer later sobbed when describing the moment Mr. Fox was shot after opening the door of the flat. The jury saw footage of police blocking the spy hole in the door before they heard a noise and the flat door opened. The inquest heard the officer saw a gun pointed at a colleague when Mr. Fox opened the flat door. The jury also heard the shots fired at Mr. Fox, recorded by the police body-worn cameras. Mr. Greenhall said, "When you saw the gun, you fired 2 shots." Speaking from behind the screen, the firearms officer said, "Yes, I did." The inquest at the Coroner's Court in Barnet is expected to last 2 weeks, and Mr. Fox's family are due to give evidence.
Support for new cycle routes through Edmonton is split down the middle, a report has revealed. Enfield Council has also produced a summary of the feedback from the A1010 South consultation on Cycle Enfield held earlier in the year. The route, which will travel along Hertford Road and past Edmonton Green bus and train stations, is supported by 45% of consultation participants, with a further 6% offering partial support. However, 47% of the 377 people who took part in the survey said they did not support the Council's plans for a leg of the £42 million cycle lane scheme in the area. 2% said they are unsure or have no opinion. The Council say they will take note of the criticism and concerns raised in the consultation and include them in the final report to be published in the coming months. According to the summary, these included worries about congestion and the impact on bus passengers. Others praised the plans, saying they will improve air quality and make cycling safer. The report comes as the consultation process comes to an end for Cycle Enfield on the northern part of the A1010 Hertford Road. It finishes on September 23, and those affected are being urged to have their say. Cabinet Member for the Environment, Councillor Daniel Anderson, said, "We're excited about the opportunities that Cycle Enfield offers to help improve this key road through the eastern part of our borough. We want to enhance this environment for everyone, however they choose to travel. With this investment, we can help to create safe and pleasant places to live, shop and do business. We are continuing to listen and respond to the issues that are raised throughout the extensive Cycle Enfield consultation process. To that end, I urge the people who live and work in this area of the borough to come along, look at the plans and tell us what they think. We are particularly keen to hear from local community groups and organisations, and officers will happily meet with any such bodies as requested."
Children were transported back in time with old-fashioned games that kids their own age would have enjoyed during a summer workshop last week. The outdoor activities took place at Forty Hall in Forty Hall, Enfield on Thursday. At the start of the event, groups aged between 4 and 11 were shown a picture from the 15th century depicting children playing various traditional games. They then played outside in the grounds of Forty Hall. Games played during the workshop included bowling, blowing bubbles, making bubble pipes, hula hooping, and one which involved standing behind a line and tossing a hat onto somebody's head. Helen Hamlin, Forty Hall's Learning and Education Outreach Officer, said, "They may not have realised that children from that time period played games that are still played today, so we wanted to choose a variety of activities for them to enjoy." There were 3 classes throughout the day, and it was the 4th of 5 workshops taking place during the summer holidays.
We've reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So, from the team of Sonia, Roz, Danny, myself and Peter on the controls, it's goodbye.
Bye.
Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet. Put the memory stick into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible, in readiness for the next edition. And don't forget, you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking Newspaper on 020 8805 6578. Coming up next, the latest news and information for the Greater London area from InfoSound. The Enfield Talking Newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.